Welcome back, Kingdom Dream Chasers. It's so great to have you. We are in for a treat today. I have a beautiful guest here before you. If you're watching us on YouTube, Chelsea Jo. Her website is fabulous. You're going to want to check it out and wait till you hear what this beautiful woman does. We are going to be talking today about how to reduce your to do list by, wait for it, 95%. So I'm going to have the privilege. Well, Chelsea Jo, let you say hello to everybody.
Yeah, hi. This is a great conversation. You're gonna love it. Can't wait to dive in.
Well, great. Well, I have the privilege now of introducing, so you can get a little bit of background on her, and you're going to get some resources at the end. She's got something really special for us that will be dropped down in the show notes that you can check out. So, Chelsea Jo, she is a wife, mama, CEO. She's a top ranked podcaster and system obsessed professional, here to help every mom create the consistent income that she wants and needs without sacrificing her home or herself in the process. 17 years in corporate, 5 years of running an event based business, she realized it was time to share the systems that she had created to stay organized and keep up with the demands of being a busy mom, as so other women could, so many other women could have the same success without the overwhelm. She specializes in teaching other work from home moms the strategic systems they need to manage their home in as little time as possible. Whoop, whoop, plus create major impact and income in the hours that they are setting aside to work. So, from time blocking and fundamental needs to workflows and team management, she is confident that her strategic systems are the key to all of our working success. So, we are going to jump into this conversation. Before we get into the heart of our podcast today, which is how to reduce your to do list by 95%. I want to turn it over to Chelsea Jo and tell us, please, your background story and what brought you to us today.
Yeah, well, thank you for the intro. I'm super excited to talk about this. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. Um, I have two little girls, and they're not so little anymore. I've been introducing myself with two little girls for a while now. They're 13 and 8, so definitely not little. But I started this business when my youngest one was still in diapers. And it's been a labor of love for quite some time. But I started out as a professional sign language interpreter, and I did some independent work with that. I worked in corporate. I scaled that business and really got to the peak of my career. Loved it so much. Um, I became a single mom throughout that process, and I ended up starting an event-based business with my mom, and just was trying to provide for me and my daughter. And I have always been very creative, very detail oriented. So planning weddings was amazing, for me. I loved that because you got like the planner side of it, but also aesthetically it had to be perfect. And so that was like me in a nutshell. Like, well, that was just like me all day long, but it was very labor intensive and going back, at 1 a.m. at strike time with little kids and trying to find sitters, or at that time, a small daughter and trying to find sitters. And then I met my now husband, and we got married, had another baby. He was a firefighter at the time. And so he would work 2 days and then he'd be off for four, work 2 days and be off for four. So his rotation was, there was never like, I can count on my husband being home on Monday, Tuesdays, or Wednesday, Thursdays. He would be gone Monday, Tuesday, and then the next week it was Sunday, Monday, and then the next week it was Saturday, Sunday. And we just kept like rotating around the week and the weekends like that. And it made it really hard for me to be able to pick up interpreting work and bring in money. So I remember being just overwhelmed with the amount of things that I had to do. And I was like, something has to give. The toilets were dirty, laundry was backed up, dishes needed to be done, but I needed to financially provide um, at that time. And I wanted to be involved in something. And so I was like, look, I'm so sick of wasting time trying to figure out what's for dinner on Pinterest for the only 2 hours that I have to actually go to the grocery store. I've just like spent all my time on Pinterest and like trying to find the ingredients. And I was like, this, I've been enough. So some weeks my husband and I would have great weeks and some weeks would be terrible. And I started looking into what made a good week a good week, what made a bad week. And I started collecting a ton of data. And I looked at every piece of efficiency that I could find. I wanted to know, why did the kids get to bed on time tonight, but they didn't last night? What did I change? What did we do? What made it bad? What made it good? Why am I exhausted? Why am I crying on the bathroom floor right now? Why was I ready to run a mile yesterday? No, it's not my postpartum hormones. It's literally because I went to bed too late last night. You know what I mean? Like, it's things that I actually could control. And I ended up developing a home management system and I started repeating it. And then I started teaching it to my friends that I was like, no, 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 you just do this. And they're like, no one's doing that. You should probably teach this. So I started a blog and then I started a podcast. And then right about that time, the pandemic hit and it totally put me out of work as an interpreter. I had laid down the wedding business at that time, which I co-ran with my mom. So it was very uh, emotional for us to put that down, but I
Yeah.
knew what I needed to do for my family. And I wanted to be able to make money from home so that I could raise my babies. And so that was the end of all of my income. And I put all my eggs in the basket of this business. I started selling the home management system. And then from there, I very quickly scaled a business in about 10 to 15 hours a week. And so everyone was like, how are you so consistent and growing like this with very little time? And I was like, well, I'm doing this. Isn't everyone doing this? And they're like, no one's doing that. You should probably teach that. So then so then I started teaching the way that I organize the back end of my business so that I can get way more done in less time and get back to taking care of myself and my kids and my marriage and my house. And um, that's how I ended up here.
Well, that's amazing. Honestly, I just want you to hear, I've been an entrepreneur for a really long time, and I interview and have the blessing of being with a lot of women who have a lot of gifts. But this is an amazing gift that you give entrepreneurs and moms at home. And my boys are grown, and most of my audience, I'd say they're probably their kids are grown too. But trust me, we still want our house to feel like it's running in an organized, efficient way so that we can actually feel like we were living a thriving, wonderful life. And just listening to you, and I know I'm speaking for others out there listening right now, listening to you, there's just this sense of, "Ah, okay, we're ready. Chelsea Joe, tell us more." Like this sense of relief, like, oh, I'm not alone and this is gonna be good. This is gonna be so good.
Yeah, this is it. We might have arrived. Yeah, I get that a lot. For those of you in our generation, you'll know who Delilah is. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you make me feel like Delilah did when I was a kid."
You're much
Yep,
younger than Delilah.
I am, but I remember listening to her when I was like in high school, I think.
I love
Yeah.
it. All right, well, let's jump into this conversation around because I have got my pen and paper ready, girl. So, about reducing that to-do list by 95%.
I know. It's not just like a shock and awe factor. It's actually accurate. It's a thing that I promise people that I can do for them whenever they actually implement my systems. And no one believes me until they do it. And they're like, that was some kind of magic. So it is pretty mind blowing. And I think, a lot of people ask me, have you always been super systematic? And I'm like, maybe, my dad was a heavy equipment mechanic, very much engineer minded. And my mom, although she always worked, she was an incredible keeper of the house. And I think my dad never treated me like a girl in that sense ever. He made me get underneath the cars and he made me skin the elk and go hunting and do all the things, like he made me get my hands dirty. And my mom made me iron the dust ruffle in the pillowcases and like know how to clean the baseboards the right way. And so I just like grew up living in both of these worlds. And I think it allowed me to be able to provide some kind of structure, and I needed that for the vast amount of inconsistencies that were being thrown at me. My oldest daughter also, when I was a single mom, we do have shared parenting time with her, and so that was a complexity too. And so I like to share that because I just want people to understand that my life is very similar to everyone else's,
Mhm,
like I'm still juggling so many things.
mhm.
I made lots of mistakes when I was younger that I still have to deal with the consequences of, like having shared parenting time. It would not be the ideal way to raise a family, but, we're trying to bear good fruit from every opportunity that we have. And I think this was my way, um, after leaving a relationship that was very, very costly to my health and just was not a good situation. I really gave my life back to the Lord and said, like, look, I'm going to steward everything that you give me. And this was the way that I did it. And so when I sat down and realized that my to-do list was the problem, I was like, how do we tackle this?
Mm.
So here's how we start this
All
conversation.
right, before you do though, I have to pause because I don't know why I must know this. Your mom. So
Mm.
the way was did her mother teach her that?
That's interesting. I've been spending a lot of time with my grandmother. She has dementia now. And so I spend quite a bit of time with her. I'm learning more about her. She was very, very particular. And I would assume so, but I don't. Yeah, she was a very particular woman, very particular about the things that she was particular about. And so was my mom. And my dad was too, actually. But yeah, I mean, there was like, I could literally to this day show you the way that my mother told me to wrap the rag around my fingers to clean the baseboards the right way. Like, there was a way to do
Yes,
everything. And
yes.
she definitely was taught that, but I think it morphed into something even greater when she
Okay.
became a mom.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Well, I had to know that. That's just a little my mom, my grandmother, and me. So I've just been a little reflective on that lately. So I just wanted to know.
Yeah,
So thank you for that.
yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So if you ever come over and listen to my podcast, uh, you will find that most of my podcast episodes are very systematic in nature. It's called Systemize Your Life. And so the podcast gives steps on how to build a system, do a system. We work on a lot of like the internal work and the thought processes because it's not just that easy to like start doing something differently. And
Mhm.
so you'll find that that's how I teach. And so I'm just going to jump in and tell you this
Please.
is exactly how you reduce your to-do list by 95%. So here's the thing. The the big piece of homework that I'm going to have every person do is I want you to go look at your to-do list for this week or one for last week. And if you haven't made one yet, because it's all up in your head, just get it out of your head and put it down on a piece of paper.
Yes.
And then we're going to look for everything on that list that actually repeats every week. And most people at like their gut reaction is nothing repeats. Everything's random, everything's new. And the truth is, about 95% of it actually repeats every single week. So, what I learned is that anything that repeats in your life can be systemized, it can be automated. And so, we want to get everything off of your to do list that isn't random, that actually is coming up over and over and over and over and over again. Maybe it comes up every Monday. Maybe it comes up the first week of every month. Maybe it comes up every week, but we don't know what day it's going to come up. But like every week, we got to do this thing.
Mhm.
When I host live challenges and work through these things with people, one of this is one of the things that we work on. And I have them take a picture of their to-do list and submit it. What you're going to do is you're going to circle every single thing that can be repeated or automated on your to-do list. And you will find that nearly everything will be circled, like in
Mm.
some way, shape, or form. And hear me out. Going to Target is different than going to the post office, but they're both errands. And so errands are actually coming up on your to-do list every single week. If you pay attention to these patterns, stuff is repeating itself over and over and over and over and over again. And I have the solution, which we're going to get to, but I need you to start understanding of where the solution comes from so that I get your buy-in and you actually want to try this.
Mhm.
So some of the things that people have on their to-do list is water the plants, go to the grocery store, pick up the dog poop in the backyard. Like that one's forever burned in my brain. Like, don't we all know that these things need to be done? Why isn't on the to-do list? It just goes to show that there's very little preparedness and forethought. We're literally running on the urgent and the immediate of what needs to be done today. And that's what causes the cortisol rising and the overwhelm and the anxiety and the restlessness and where's my phone and it's this constant fast paced of like, what's next? What's next? And so
Mm.
I didn't really want to live that way. I also knew that that wasn't scalable. If I want to get out of the weeds of managing my home so I can go make a huge impact in my work, which then most of the time turns out to be great income for our family, I knew that I needed to get out of the weeds. Like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't need to be talking about when I'm doing laundry. Does laundry need to be done every week? Yes, it does. We don't need to talk about that anymore, right? Like dishes need to be done every day. We don't need to talk about that anymore. Like, let's just set it and forget it. So that's the first big piece of this homework is just acknowledging that there are really great repeatable patterns.
So can I interrupt you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you say set it and forget it, I know you're getting there, but can you give us
Mhm.
an example? So dishes, laundry, set it and forget it. Give us an
Yeah.
example.
So here comes the next part of this, and this is the systematic part. I created, after looking at this for a very long time and sitting down with my husband, I would bring a whiteboard into the bedroom and I'd be like, why did you have a great week? What did you do this week that made your week amazing? And I'd write it down. Well, the next week was like, World War III in our house. What the heck happened? Why? Things that kept coming up for him over and over and over again. I got to go to the gym. I didn't get to go to the gym. I had personal time to read my books, work on my business. He also has his own business, or I didn't, right? And also a lot of it was the laundry was done. The house is a mess. There wasn't any food to eat. I didn't get to bed on time. For me, it was we haven't connected. We haven't had a date night. I haven't spent one-on-one time with the whole family without a screen. There were these things that kept coming up, and they're the things that we often don't prioritize ever at all. And it's also not a coincidence in my mind. It's the things that we are constantly writing down on our to-do list because they're the things that they're on fire, they're important. Check the emails, drop off the things at the kids' school. Don't forget to fill out this form or this paperwork, right? So what I did is I just grouped them all together and there's 8 things that we're going to put on our calendar every week. We call them the Great 8. They are your fundamental needs. So your fundamental needs, I will give you 8 of them. And every time I'm put on the spot, I choke and I can never remember all 8, but we're going to see if I can, we're going to see,
I believe in you. I believe in you.
we're going to see if I can do it right now. I'm gonna, well, we put them on our calendar, right? So, and we get them on there and we set them as a repeating event in our Google Calendar. Okay.
Okay.
And they're going to live there, but you might need to move them around. And I really created this because, are you writing date night on your to-do list? Absolutely not. So this doesn't just cover the fires. This covers all of the proactive and preventative stuff that we really do want to do, but we never have time to do because our to-do list is running us ragged.
Mhm.
So if you take all of those things that are on your to-do list, okay, plus all of the preventative things that we want to do, and we get them on the calendar and we repeat them on a regular basis, about 95% of your to-do list is going to just be non-existent anymore. So let's talk about what the great 8 are. What are the fundamental needs? So there's date night, and this is where you just put on the calendar an opportunity for you guys to have a date, whether that's at home. We've had little kids and not had access to sitters for a long time. So it's like an intentional game of cards, or we really do want to watch a movie together. Can we get popcorn and like ice cream to make it more like a date, right? Something a little bit more intentional. Then there's family fun. Is a time for your family to connect intentionally. It could be a board game. It could be going to the pool, a jump house, going on a trip. It doesn't have to be like huge. It's just an intentional time to connect.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to save that one for next. Then there's meal planning. This is where you're planning, shopping, and prepping for all of your food for the whole family for that week. Then there is your work block. This is a fundamental need because how many things on your to-do list actually have to do with things that are in your business that you need to get done or something for work. Okay, so your work block is also something that we need to make sure that we're planning. I could talk through these a little bit more in depth if you need me to. There's also one of the other fundamental needs is called your to-dos. And this is for an hour or two a week that you set aside to tackle the remaining 5% of your to-do list that we can't get rid of, right? So we're gonna be able to handle about 95% of your to-do list, but there's still some random things that really are gonna come up that need to be taken care of. And so we want to make sure that we have time on the calendar set aside for those things. Okay, then we have what I like to call zone cleaning or house cleaning. And this is where you're going to put aside however many hours you need to every week to tackle your house. I use a system called zone cleaning. It's a system that I created where you break your house into zones. We typically break it into 4 zones. We hit 1 zone a week. By the end of the month, your house is totally deep cleaned, but you're only hitting that 1 zone once a month. So kitchen and living room, we would put into 1 zone, and it's like the deep clean, right? It's not like we're doing the dishes once a month. It's like we're really wiping down the counters and we're getting in there and we're really cleaning. And you can break your house up into whatever zones you want, but we did kitchen and living room and then bedrooms and bathrooms and bedding. Those were our big zones that we would do. Okay, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Date night, family fun, to-dos, meal planning, work block, zone cleaning, exercise is the next one, or workout, right? The gym, whatever that might be. However you need to move your body is super important. And then that's why I called it. So I called it beforehand. I always freeze, put me on the spot. And I've been doing these same great 8 for 8 years. Date night, family fun, to-dos, meal planning, work block, zone cleaning, exercise. It's the most important one, and I'm forgetting what it is.
For me, it would be a spiritual aspect of.
Yeah. Yeah. I try and work that into my morning routine, and you can definitely put that on the calendar. The great 8 are the things that we want to make sure that we are hitting like once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, right? They're like these big, more like we really need to set
For
a
the one time.
substantial amount of time aside for them.
Okay.
I'll remember what it is. Just give me some time to process. So once you take these things and you put them completely in place and they're on your calendar, which I actually could open up my calendar right now and I could tell you what mine are because they're in
I
my
was just
calendar.
looking at I was trying to look at your list, your website and see if anything jumped up to let me help you.
Yeah, but what I end up doing essentially, I told you it was the most important one. This is what we call the Sunday reset. This is your final one. And this is where you sit down and you reset your calendar. And there's another part, you reset your home management system, right? So I'm going into all of the things that I need to reset. So essentially, I'm resetting all of my fundamental needs in my Google Calendar. So my date night's set right now for Friday night. But when my husband was a firefighter, some Fridays he would work. So we'd have to sit down and be like, well, when do you want to do date night this week? Because we can't do it Friday. You're at the fire station. So we would move it around. And sometimes we even still do have to do that. Like, hey, both the kids are going to be with grandma on Friday and Saturday. Let's move, you know what I mean? So like we're sitting down and we're looking at the calendar on the weekend and making sure that's what's happening in the Sunday reset. I'm also going to our communication board and I'm looking to make sure that everything for the week is set there and just really ensuring that the calendar is set up. And then I also have a paper planner that I use to put my time blocks in. My fundamental needs go in there too. And a couple other intentional things that I do to help me manage my time throughout the week. But after I get done setting these up, then I look and I'll ask my husband, like, hey, is there anything that you need from me this week? What's the most important things that you need me to get done? And I'll add them to my to-do list. And there's 3, 4, maybe 5 things on it every week at most,
Mhm.
because everything else is already taken care of. So that is the system in a nutshell.
Oh my gosh, so good, so good. You should see my notes. I love it. This is really
I can see you writing over there.
I love it. This has really impacted me, Chelsea Joe. Thank you very much.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
fresh information. I just think you're anointed and gifted and being able to communicate it. And I'm really excited. So tell everybody there's going to be things in the show notes for them. Of course, your
Mm,
website, chelseajoe.co. They're going to be able to find you and read and
all
learn.
kinds of stuff, yeah.
But tell everybody what they're going to find down below.
Yeah, so I have this incredible workshop that's completely free and it comes with a really awesome workbook. So you get to fill out the workbook while you're going through the workshop, which I always love. And I call it the workflow workshop. Essentially, what it allows you to do is get super organized in your business. So if you guys are trying to make money while you're trying to juggle your home both, this is going to show you how to get 15 solid hours of work every single week, how to make sure that when you sit down to work, you actually know what to do instead of feeling like you need to do the dishes and laundry at the same time, or just being on Instagram and in your inbox because you don't really know what the most important thing is to do when you sit down. Answer all of those questions, help you really look at what is the main thing that you're focused on, and why are you even working when you sit down to work. I
Mhm.
really think that the time that I take away from my family is precious, I think that not only are they a gift to me, but I'm a really important piece of my husband's life and my kids' life and stewarding our home and our finances. And so when I take time away from them, I never want it to be in vain. I want to be able to really pour into that time, even if it's doing nothing, but that's what needs to be done at the moment, right? I want to know that I'm being intentional with my time. So, um, the workflow workshop that's linked down below, chelseajoe.co/workflow workshop is where you guys can sign up. You can watch on demand. And sometimes I hang out on the back end and you'll catch me on there live, or somebody on my team is there. You can actually chat with people and ask questions. So that's pretty fun too.
Yes. Oh, this has been amazing. I just thank you so much. And I encourage everybody listening, get a hold of that workflow workshop. Use it with your team. Give them the link. Find buddies. Do it together. I know I'm going to be encouraging my clients to do it together. So, what a gift you are. And I thank you so much.
Mm,
So wonderful having you with us today.
thank you.